Our last panelist, who will be joining us shortly, is former U.S. Treasurer and author Bay Buchanan, whose extensive career in policy analysis, campaigns, and her outspoken defense of the right to life makes her one of our most inspirational campus speakers. Bay began her political career as the national treasurer for Ronald Reagan's presidential campaigns in 1980 and 1984. This position catapulted her into a distinguished career when she was appointed the youngest U.S. treasurer in American history in 1981. Until recently, Bay was a political analyst for Inside Politics on CNN. She has also appeared on numerous television programs and talk radio shows. A published author, her most recent book is called Bay and Her Boys: Unexpected Lessons I Learned as a Single Mom. A native of Washington, D.C., Buchanan has a master's degree in mathematics from McGill University in Montreal, Canada, and has further studies at several universities, including the University of New South Wales in Australia. In 1981, she received an honorary doctorate of law from Stanford University. She lives in Virginia and is the proud mother of 3 sons.
Good afternoon. Good to be with you all. I tell you, these ladies here, they got a major advantage over me. I'm in the world of politics. They deal with facts, see, facts. That's such an advantage. I deal with what the press throws at you, and you look and say, well, where did that come from? War on women is just right to that point. But this is the key in politics, and this is very important for you to realize. You may have heard, this war, certainly I was getting back when I found out that I belonged to a party for the last 30 years, have been an activist in this party, only to find out that we've had a war against women during this time. Complete shock to me, and in fact so much so that I felt like when that first question went to Mitt Romney during one of those debates, where George Stephanopoulos decided to ask him about whether he would outlaw contraception, thinks the states have a right, I had the exact same reaction he did. What? But why are you asking this? Is there somebody trying to outlaw contraception? But it didn't matter to Stephanopoulos. He just kept hammering it like 3 or 4 times in a row there, trying to get the governor to say something that could be used against him later. But clearly, this is not an issue that I have heard anything about until George Stephanopoulos. 30 years in politics, no woman, either party, and I've had a lot of debates with the left, has ever suggested that we were going to take away their contraception rights. But this year, we're going to do it. It's all very nice to know this. The key here, though, and this is what's important as I kind of give you a few minutes to discuss this war on women, is it doesn't matter in politics if it's real, if it's true. All that matters is that there's a perception that it's true. That's what we deal with in the world of politics, it's a perception. Because if the voter perceives that this particular candidate is against her, wants to hold them up, wants to undermine, wants to take their freedoms and their rights, they're not going to vote for that person if they want to throw them back to some period of time where women did not have these rights. They're going to be hesitant. And it doesn't matter to them whether it's true or false. What matters is that they can sell this to enough women. And that's where we are today. So how do you do that? And I'm just going to give you a little example of what's happened over the years so you get a taste of what's going to happen in the next few months. When they changed the law, when the Supreme Court ruled that, or even before that, when we had the big debates, and ever since, we were pro-life if you're against abortion. We were pro-life. Well, in the early days, they were for abortion. They were pro-abortion. Well, after a few years, they were making a lot of groundway here because who is for abortion? They realized this is a negative. And so they changed the words to be pro-choice. Because choice, that's an honorable thing to be for. It's choice. Women should have a choice. And so they managed to get a higher road than they were on. We were pro-life, which is obviously a positive. When they went and started talking about their entire movement as pro-choice, they picked up enormously. Because people started saying that was something that I would be for too. I'm for choice for women. And they were able to sell it that way. Very, very successful. And so words are key. Words are very key. There's no mistake that the words war on women were thrown out there deliberately. They had told, they had decided. But I think their mistake was they took it too far. The Democrats took it a little too far. And that's the second point when you're dealing with perceptions. You know, it's the spin of politics. You take a kernel of truth or some kind of a fact, and you spin it enough so you make a case. And the case comes out at the end, it can be completely invalid, but it doesn't matter, you've got that kernel that you can keep going back to that's true. And so take, for instance, if you go too far, it fails. The argument there, we've seen it, is, and James Carville made that point earlier, he and his team, but the Obama campaign ignored it. They said early on, look, you guys are out there, said James Carville in a memo some months ago, you're out there saying that the economy is turned around and it's going well. Well, that's not going to work. Do not go there. Well, they ignored it. And we heard last week that the private sector is just fine. And everybody says, fine, what? And I mean, even Democrats were bailing off that shit. You know, that, whoa, time out, it's not fine, by the way. And here's the president says, why did he say that? Because his campaign was going to try to sell, hey, 4 million new jobs in the last X number of months or years, that things are moving in the right direction, and pull a few facts and then spin it that things are on the right track. Don't throw anything off now, because things are moving in the right track, and things are going to improve. But the problem is, more people have, you know, lost jobs, lost homes, and fallen into poverty during the 3.5 years the man's been president, that it's hard to convince people things are okay. You know, gas prices are shooting up. Everyone is having, kids are coming home. Let me tell you, as somebody, a mother, that's not the right direction when kids are moving back home, especially when they have children. This is, you know, a week of children, no more, you know, all right. And so he sends this message out there, and they back it up with the facts. And I'm debating out there, and I'm constantly hearing from their surrogates, 4 million new jobs, 4 million new jobs. And I'm thinking, 23 million unemployed people. What is this 4 million, you know, but they stick to it, trying to say it's turning around, you know. But they overplayed their hand when it came to the economy. And now they're backtracking. And because, you know, you can't convince people of something that they know every single day is not the case. They're worried about their job, and they're worried about the fact that some loved one has no job, and they've been looking for 16 months, and there's little hope. They're terrified of their own companies might lose contracts, and they'll be out of a job. Whatever it is, people are nervous in the country, and you cannot tell them, oh, by the way, everything's fine, you can relax, because they're not relaxing. Okay, they're not. So that's when you overplay a message. So you have both those things. Words are very important, the words they use. And then the second thing is that they don't take it too far where you lose credibility, because it disrupts. Then the third thing, and let me spend a minute on it, and that is you need somebody to help you carry the ball. You know, Republicans will say, you know, Obama did this, and nobody says anything, and, you know, that's the end of the story. You know, got a couple of us on television for an afternoon, and that's the end. But if the media picks up and runs with it, if they get excited about this, then you've got enormous momentum. And day in, day out, within a few days, you can start getting the country to start considering your proposition, take a look at it, and see if you can't sell it. And that's what the media has done so effectively for the Democrats. They have, and they do it continually. And in fact, over the years I've been in politics, I've always known that the media was on the left, that that's where they leaned, and that you'd always have a disadvantage, or I never considered it a disadvantage, but in the sense that there'd be more against you on the media than there would ever be for you, and that at times you wouldn't really get a fair opportunity to make your case. You always knew that. But things have changed now, so we've got Fox, we've got Rush, we've got lots of radio shows, and so we're well aware of the disadvantage, always have been, and we've turned it a lot of the corner, and we have a lot of advantages now. However, the media, by very definition, is supposed to be the kind of an institution that kind of keeps honesty with elected officials and candidates and movements, to make certain they're honest about what they're presenting, that the people are getting the facts. And that's where they have gone way, way overboard. Just, it's ridiculous. This Warren women, for instance, this is what happened. Basically, there was a federal assault on religious freedom when it came to deciding the Catholic Church and all, you know, religious institutions were going to be forced to pay for abortion and contraception, things that are against their religious beliefs. And it is, you know, there's no way this is going to survive a Supreme Court challenge. This is anything clear in the Constitution. But they were adamant, they're going to do this. And of course, it would be, the feminists would love it, the liberal would love it, and they'd be all rallying around the president. And so we made the case, several strong leaders in the party, and our side of the party, and other constitutional scholars, etc., went out and said, this is an absolute outrageous assault on the religious freedom of institutions and individuals. You can't do this. Well, within a few days, we thought, this is terrific, we should really pound them on this. And within a few days, the next thing I know, we had a war on women. We were going after their contraception. And they're saying, this is an outrageous issue. This is outrageous. You are going to take contraception away from women. And I thought, how did I get from here to here in a matter of days? Days. There was no longer any discussion. You know, I would try to get in, others talk about religious freedom, but that's boring. Let's talk about the war on women. Let's talk about the war on women. You know, and that was the proposition. You go on television. I mean, Dick Gregory had it perfect. He had an interview with John McCain. And he said, do you think that there is something of a war on women amongst Republicans? I mean, just, you know, not, hey, there's a suggestion by Democrats, and let's get some Democrats on and ask them how they can make this case, is this a little overboard or not? No, just let's make the presumption and then have the Republicans defend themselves. So we're all out there defending ourselves, saying, no, we're not trying to take anybody's contraception away. What a ridiculous debate. We lost days. They were winning that one. I mean, it's not for only one reason and only one reason. It's because we're not talking about the most important thing to women. And that is the key. That is the key. All right? This is the politics. They need the women to win in November. Not only do they need to win, women tend to vote more for Democrats. You know, they've got an edge, we've got an edge with the men. And so they need to not only win, they are hurting with men badly. They need to win well. They need to win big. So they decided, okay, we got to go to the women, and we got to make certain we strip women off the Republican vote. We have to strip them. But this is key to us. And so they came up with this war on women. Make Republicans vote. Just outrageous. You know, just outrageous. And that's where they went. Now, I'm going to take a little credit for something. This is the week where I'm trying to figure out how I was going on television and talk about a First Amendment assault on religion. And now I'm sitting here saying, in 30 years, I've never had any woman say to me, why are you trying to take my contraception? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm having a hard time making this case. And then the Romney campaign, with whom I work, I might add, and they called me and they said, we got some new information. I was on a conference call. And they were talking about, you know, some research they'd done. And they said, of all these people, you know, more people who lost jobs under Obama, 93% of those who have lost jobs are women. I said, excuse me, stop, did you just say 93%? They said, yeah, they said 93% of the jobs lost, women account for them. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. This is wonderful. I mean, not that I want to see women losing jobs, but this little nugget is going to turn this little argument around quite nicely. So the next day we had a conference call with a number of the press. There's 3 of us speaking on the conference call. And so a former senator spoke first, and then I spoke. And I said, listen, if you guys want to have a real discussion about a war on women, you should hightail it right over to the White House. Because you know that, you know, not only do they have problems with how they pay their women in the White House staff, but the second point is, women account for 93% of the jobs lost. Under this man and his policies, Barack Obama and his policies, women are losing jobs of 400,000. The most of them, that's what's happening. Well, then some local elected officials spoke on the phone call. Every single question of the media, and we had NBC on the phone and CBS, and we had big time, New York Times on, was to me, what was that number, Betty? What was that number? And I said, the war on women, head right over to the White House. They're the ones that have, you know, now, do I think this is an exaggeration? Do I think they really have established a war? Of course not. They don't want to lose women. But you want to call war on women, let's talk about the real war on women out there. And that's the economy, that's the jobs. What do you think women care about most? I was a single mom. Keeping that job, taking care of our kids, making certain that we're going to be able to provide for them. And likewise, married women. You think they want to see their husband lose their job? They think they want to lose their job if they're working? They know how tough things are. How about kids? You think women aren't worried about kids, graduating their kids? having hopes and dreams, graduating from college. You don't think they're concerned that over 50% of them are not getting jobs that require any kind of college education whatsoever? They're not using all the training, and indeed, in addition to that, they have huge debt, and they're moving home? You don't think this is a concern of women? They are undermining they basically show enormous disrespect for women. If they think women are more worried about some phony war on their contraception more than the economy, they have it all wrong. And that's the key. They know that they have a problem with the economy. They know that women are suffering. They know that small business women know that they can't stay alive if they have their taxes continue going up and the regulations continue to increase. They know they're in trouble. All right? They need to be able to take care of themselves, their families, and they need their husbands to be able to do the same. And that's where the strongest argument goes. Respect women, and the polls are overwhelming. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. What are the 1, 2, and 3 issues in this election? It's the economy, it's the jobs, it's the excess spending in Washington, it's Obamacare. Those are the things they're worried about, and we win on those. And so today I saw an ad, a new ad, the Obama ad, and I'll close with this, so we can have plenty of time for questions. The new Obama ad, it's on there. He comes out, the president, and a picture, a very attractive picture of the president, son of a single mom, father of 2 daughters, and he cares about women. First thing he did was sign this bill that gave equal pay to women, which really was not equal pay for women. That already existed. It was to give them the ability to sue more easily in the workplace. And then the Obama believes in fairness for women. Like we don't? Yeah, excuse me, but it's not war on women. It's fairness for women. And that's where they'll go. They'll start a little bit less, pull back from the war, and go on the fairness. And where we have to go is right back up to this. These policies have so undermined women. Women out there trying to make a living, trying to take care of themselves, trying to get their hopes and dreams, to be able to have those hopes and dreams, have some possibility for them in their own lives and in the lives of their kids. That's where we go. And we win. But let me tell you, this is going to be some tough 5 months, because they need those women. So you can expect every possible accusation against Republicans at every single stage that we don't support women, that we indeed want to undermine or suppress their freedoms, their rights, and their opportunities, every opportunity we have. It's ludicrous, it's ridiculous. So far I believe they've overplayed their hand. They may do it again, but right now I see this fairness argument. I think we can play them one-on-one, and the key is for us to go right back to the economy and hit it and hit it and hit it, and then we will be able to indeed help women for the next 4 years begin to get back on their feet and be able to have their homes over their heads, be able to look forward to the future and the future for their children. Thank you all very, very much.